Hello, welcome to Aggie Talk. My name is Patrick Figueroa. I'm joined by Omar Navarro, and we've got some things we want to talk about. It might be a little bit of there's going to be a lot of stuff talked about, but maybe a little bit shorter than usual. But we're going to get started with the NFL tonight. In about 2 hours, actually, the Hall of Fame game will be played between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. Two of our favorite, one of each of our favorite teams pretty much playing tonight. So football is officially back, even though there probably won't, even though the rest of the preseason won't start till next week. It's still something that'll hold us over. Hall of Fame ceremonies are also going to be this weekend, I believe, and also Hard Knocks is this Tuesday. That's when that starts. So we got some stuff coming up very quickly. Omar, what are you looking for in tonight's game? I know you're a Cowboys fan. There's gonna be some guys you want to see play. Who are you looking out for on your team at least?
Well, yeah, I mean, just first of all, honestly, just super excited. Like, even if it is a Hall of Fame game and preseason can be some pretty, it can be some pretty boring stuff sometimes. I do think that it just being back in general is just really great for like all football fans because now starting today, there's going to be a football game every week until the Super Bowl. So, some kind of football is going to be played, whether it's college football, NFL football, college football starting at the end of this month too. So should be really fun. I'm just super happy that it's back. Obviously, for the Cowboys side of it, not a lot of players even made the trip, like Dak, Tyron Smith, Greg the Leg, Zach Martin, Jordan Lewis, DeMarcus Lawrence, Blake Jarwin. A lot of those players, but I mean, nonetheless, it's your first chance to really see the rookies. Um, still got Kelvin Joseph, Micah Parsons for the Cowboys specifically. I'm really excited to see what they do. The third round picks that they had as well. Just super excited to see what they show. And also with this year, the Cowboys and the Steelers do play 4 preseason games, but the rest of the league only has 3. So you're gonna have to keep an eye out for some of those fringe guys trying to make the team. They're gonna go all out. So there's definitely gonna be some competitive stuff going on there. But overall, it's gonna be the people playing for their jobs, right? Their security, their job security, and things like that. So obviously, it's not super exciting. The stakes might not be what it really is, but I'm just super excited that it's back and can't really wait to see Gary Gilbert light up the Steelers again.
Come on, we got a Myles Roach also joining us. We're currently talking about the Hall of Fame game that's being played tonight. I guess I can go as a Steelers fan. Najee Harris, apparently he's supposed to play tonight, and I being a first round pick, and I thought I didn't really think he'd need to play because he's gonna have such a heavy workload this season that honestly I just wasn't really expecting it, but I'm also really excited to see him. Um, I'm really curious about the quarterbacks because Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins are going to be going at it for who's going to be quarterback 2. So I know you're making faces, Omar, but I mean, I just want to see. I think any quarterback competition is fun to see, and even if it's for the backup job, those 2 guys are gonna really go out and they're gonna light up that Cowboys defense. So let's see which one does better. Also, I'm just kind of curious how some of the other rookies look. I hope to see Pat Fryermuth, PF, Patrick F. That's usually that's a good name and a good way to go get. Usually you're going to be a good person, right? So. Also like Kendrick Green, just other guys. I want to see the offensive line too. So it's gonna be really fun to see. And again, I want to see Dwayne Haskins, see how he does. And Mason Rudolph starting, but I'm way more intrigued by Dwayne Haskins.
I can't wait to the words "I can't wait to see Dwayne Haskins" has never been spoken before in the NFL. So I don't know about that. But yeah, Myles, thank you for joining us. Obviously, we were talking about like the preseason is not really anything super exciting or whatever, but I'm just glad like some kind of football is back and it's going to be here till February. I don't know. Are you like prepared for the NFL season? It's only like a month away. So what are your thoughts on all that?
I've just been reading Twitter reports of Joe Judge making his players run sprints after practice, getting hyped for this New York Giants playoff season that's about to happen. Now I'm just playing. I've been doing a little bit of research into the new league. I've been seeing some reports about Joe Burrow not looking too hot in his first padded practice. But I don't know. The Hall of Fame game is usually just like some of the worst football you've ever seen because the teams have no cohesion and the defense gets ahead. Defense is better usually earlier on than the offense, so it's really sloppy. So I mean, it'll be perfect for Dwayne Haskins. He can show us all his interception skills. But yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I don't really start paying attention until like maybe preseason week 3 because I think that's the closest, right? Or are they just doing 3 preseason games now this year? Just 3?
Yeah, it's 3 games, but the Cowboys and the Steelers have 4 because of the Hall of Fame game. But everyone else gets 3 now.
And then so did they move the season start date up 1 week to get the extra game? No, they didn't. Oh, okay.
No, they didn't. Actually, the Hall of Fame game was usually like a bit earlier, but like they pushed it back a little. I mean, pushed it back a little bit. So it's only 3 weeks.
Yeah, so I guess the second preseason game takes more importance now. So I guess that'll be the one when I start paying attention because there's always those preseason standouts like the Victor Cruzes who make their name and somehow find their way on a roster they weren't supposed to make, and then they make some plays in the regular season and become a legend. So it's just exciting, honestly. Now that the basketball just ended, I mean we have one more Team USA France gold medal match, but I mean summer league too. But it's nice to get football back in the conversation, talk about what should be a pretty interesting upcoming year.
Speaking of interesting, and I guess another team like going through some stuff right now is the Indianapolis Colts. Carson Wentz, major foot injury, then followed up. Like I'm pretty sure like the day after, Quentin Nelson had the same exact foot injury, so they're both getting similar operations. Have a return window about 5 to 12 weeks, which is super wide. So they could be coming back as soon as week 1 or as late as like week 6 or 7. So I just want to know, like, what are your full thoughts on that? Like Carson Wentz getting another setback and just a huge blow to the Colts offensive line. So what are you guys thinking here with how that plays and how that affects the Colts?
Well, I'm super curious to see what they do at quarterback, because I think currently their quarterback room consists of Sam Ellinger and Jacob Eason. So it's like, are they going to just roll the dice with one of those two? I saw some rumors of Philip Rivers, maybe, right? Maybe bringing him back at a retirement. And he said like he'd be open to playing. Um, I'm just super curious on like what they're going to do because it feels like with this team, if you want to kind of just at least keep the boat level, you want to have someone, you don't want to just roll the dice on like Sam Ellinger, right? Like a rookie, or Jacob Eason, who's taken like, I don't even know, probably like no significant snaps in his NFL career. So like, I don't know what I'm really curious to see what direction they go to in that sense. But for Carson Wentz, I mean, it kind of, it sucks for him because it's like, you finally get this new start and you're finally going to get, something going with a new team, new potential. And then the injury bug comes back again. So I know Carson Wentz is probably down on himself. And I know the Eagles are probably down on themselves too, because that pick seems like it'll be a second round pick now too. Because especially if he comes back in week 6, I believe the contract said, I mean, the deal said 75% of the snaps, right? So it'll be pushing it if he comes back like around week 4, 5, or 6. It'll be pushing it of 75% of the snaps. So yeah, it just sucks for the Colts overall because we were, Pat and I talked about it also. We were kind of like excited to kind of see like the Colts because they had like a pretty solid squad. But the Quentin Nelson one is huge. He's one of the best guards in the league. So yeah, I mean, it just really sucks for Carson Wentz, and I'm curious to see where the Colts go from here.
I feel like the Colts have like a win now roster outside of quarterback, so they're kind of stuck in that weird phase where if your only potential starter gets injured, like do you just tank and hope to get like one of the quarterbacks next year? Because I mean, at this point, I'm not ever going to believe Carson Wentz will have a healthy full year, right? He hasn't proven that he can do that. He's always injured, and I mean, it's better that they only have to give a second round pick, I guess. But it just doesn't seem like he was the solution for them when they have such a good roster. I think it would make a lot of sense for them to either tank or just, use a bunch of draft capital to get one of the better quarterbacks in this year's drafts. Just because they seem incomplete at the quarterback position, unless you think Jacob Eason like can turn it around or something, which who knows.
Yeah, I don't really have much faith in the guys they have there. I kind of was thinking at first maybe they make a trade for like a Marcus Mariota. Nick Foles was also in the headlines. I want to do that because of the contract situation, but at the same time, the Colts do have a good amount of cap space to maybe take that on. Um, but as a whole, that is a major blow to this team because, and I just kind of feel bad for Carson Wentz because like he just another time like where it feels like there's some sort of optimism going there with like him reuniting with Frank Reich and him, having just a better situation than what he had in Philadelphia last year. And just the injury just pops up. And I mean, I'm glad he's getting the surgery at least because at first there was like him saying like he was just going to try to rehab through it. And like, I don't know, like that just never works. Like, I'm glad it was only for a day. And then literally the next day, he's like, they're reporting he's going to get the surgery. So, was pretty great. I'm pretty glad he did that. And yeah, it seems like the Colts don't really want to go get another guy. I don't know. I would consider Marcus Mariota pretty heavily, but at the same time, if you have faith in Jacob Eason, then I mean, you're seeing him in practice. We're not, so maybe there is something there. But I mean, just the Quentin Nelson injury also that just is huge in terms of like what they could do to run the ball and make it a lot easier on their young quarterback with like Jonathan Taylor. You lost one of the best run blocking guards in football. So just a brutal situation. And like I think the Titans should probably now be the clear favorites in this division. Um, and I think the Jaguars could also make it kind of interesting if Trevor Lawrence is as good as we think he is. So yeah, I mean the Colts potentially could be doing what Myles said and tank, try to get a quarterback for next year. So, but we'll see. Depends on when Carson Wentz comes back. That's going to play a huge factor.
It's not like he played well recently, though, right? So maybe him coming back won't even help things.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if only there was like a quarterback out there that made a Super Bowl before, and is just looking for a job, and I don't know, it's not given a shot. But I'm not gonna say his name, but maybe if there was someone out there. But I think you can't really tank if you're the Colts because it's like you're gonna get him back. But if you start off like 0 and like 5 or 6, right? Like if you just don't win it, maybe I'll think about it. But if you're gonna get him back, if you can at least maybe win like 2 games, right? Like when he's out, possibly, then you have to go for it because it's just like because like you said, Myles, the team is kind of set up as like win now, right? Like their defense is really solid. Darius Leonard is a beast. They got the Xavier Rhodes resurgence, right? On offense, they got like they got Jonathan Taylor, they got Marlon Mack back, they got T.Y. Hilton and I'm blanking on his name, but the USC wide receiver that they drafted
Michael Pittman. Yeah.
Yeah, so like they got him. He showed some potential. So it's like they have pieces that like young pieces that they can probably build a Super Bowl team with. But that quarterback, man, it's tough. So I find it hard to see like a situation where they just tank given the team that they had because I feel like it'd be a waste.
Yeah, for sure. I guess we can move on to the next one. I have a quick question that I've been meaning to ask you guys, and that's about the 3 rookie quarterbacks that aren't slated to be, or at this point right now, aren't probably not going to be starting week 1, and that's Trey Lance, Mac Jones, and Justin Fields. Like, I just kind of had a question. If you guys could order them on who starts first and then who starts last, I'm kind of curious where you guys stand on this. Like, who do you think is starting first and who you think is starting last in the season? Like, I kind of have an idea, but I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts.
You said Trey Lance,
Mac Jones and Justin Fields.
I think at number 1 I'd put Justin Fields. At number 2 I'd put Mac Jones, and then I'd put Trey Lance last of more likely to start like sooner. The reason for that is because I think number 1, Justin Fields, because it's like Andy Dalton is probably the worst out of the quarterbacks, like, and was probably in the worst situation as well. So I could definitely see a situation where if he struggles the first couple weeks, like the Chicago media, the Chicago pressure is just going to get on him and try to start Justin Fields. For the Patriots, I think Cam Newton, as much as like he did struggle a lot last year, but it was after COVID, so I'd want to see like him get a shot. So I think Cam has a good enough team where like he can win enough games to like keep the job longer. And that's another reason why I think Jimmy G will hold the job longer, because I think the Niners in general are a better team and they're going to win games even with Jimmy G as quarterback. So I think that's why I would order it the way I did.
Yeah, I agree with Omar, honestly. Although I have been reading tons of like tweets about Trey Lance just lighting it up in San Francisco 49ers camp. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Shanahan surprised everyone and like traded Garoppolo to the Colts. Like, remember that time when the Eagles had like Sam Bradford, Nick Foles, and Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz came in as the third stringer, and then they're like, wait, this guy can play now. Then they traded all of their other quarterbacks. Like, if the Niners can get a first round pick or something from the Colts or a quarterback needy team for Garoppolo, and they think Trey Lance can be a competent quarterback, why not throw him in the fire, you know? So that's the only thing I could see changing your order. But yeah, it seems like uh, Justin Fields, he's probably going to be the week 1 starter, I'd say.
We just got joined by Will Wybaum Wyman. How you doing, Will?
I'm doing great. I hear football talk. I'm ready to go. I
The
think.
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
I think that I think all these guys are going to be good. They're in good spots. I think they got good guys ahead of them. I'm a big Cam Newton fan. It was tough for me for a little bit because I'm an Oregon football fan, so it was tough for me to be a fan of his when he was in college with the whole national championship, did the knee touch. Auburn kind of won on a technicality, but I've grown to love him in the NFL, so I'm a big fan of his, and I hope that he holds it down.
For sure. For me, the order that I was thinking, I'm leaning towards Justin Fields probably going 1, but I could see him or Mac Jones kind of like probably have a similar order as you, Omar. The thing is, like, we highlighted it before, I think, and it's like that schedule that Andy Dalton has. Like, there's a potential like for there, because week 6 through like I want to say 11 is really tough for Andy. So we could see like a world where he like kind of starts okay and then hits that stretch and maybe gets benched during one of those games, and that's when Justin Fields makes his debut. And it really depends like how like when does like I haven't looked too much at the Patriots schedule, so maybe there could be some. I kind of thought about the week 4 game against the Buccaneers, where if the Patriots kind of get manhandled there and Bill Belichick gets embarrassed by Tom Brady, I think that there could be a world where it's just like, I don't know, maybe he might be a little irrational, but blame a Cam for, and then that's when Mac gets his start. But I kind of agree with the order you're going with, Omar. I think also with Jimmy G, like he has a lot of money attached to him, a lot more than Andy Dalton and Cam Newton do. So like they're paying him like $25 million this year, so that's a lot more compared to Cam Newton and Andy Dalton, who I believe are only getting 10. So that's probably gonna be the reason why he gets a longer season compared to the others. So yeah, we can move on to the NBA now, I guess, if you want to get into that. Huge week in free agency, a lot of big moves. Any moves you guys want to start with that caught your attention?
I got an idea. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying. I think I got an idea of where to start. But I won't go there yet. I just want to talk about a team that I think has really done like a great job in free agency. And I think, all right, Myles, we'll get there. We'll get there. But I thought, I thought I sent it in the chat, but we think of the Bulls as this like small market-ish team, right? Of like, but it's like they're in Chicago. Like that's one of the bigger markets in the country. And the fact that they've been pretty pathetic the last couple, aside from like the D Rose MVP years, they've been pretty pathetic aside from that. Like the fact that they went out there and made those moves, added Lonzo Ball. Now they have Caruso. Now they have DeMar DeRozan. Like I mean, I gotta give them props for like going for it, because it seems like they want to convince Levine to stay, right? It seems like they're like, okay, here you can build this, you can be the number 1 guy. We're giving you the pieces now. We're giving you like actually giving you a chance to win, right? Like in addition to the Vucevic trade. So I really like the Bulls offseason, and I think I think they got a little something cooking there, and especially in the East.
I can agree with that, Omar. Like, I also have always kind of thought of the Bulls as like a small market team when that's like the exact opposite. Like, literally, when you said that on the group chat, that like completely captured my thoughts as well. But it's like, so because they've been so bad for like a while now, just irrelevant. And I too like just appreciate them going all in and making, I think, good signings. Like, yeah, you can make the argument that they overpaid a little bit for like DeMar DeRozan and like, I don't know, some other guys, but honestly, I'm fine. I'm fine with it because it's like I just want to see progress and see them get better. It's been like every year where they kind of look better, but it's not that jump where they become a playoff team. And now I think for sure they're at least going to make the playoffs. Maybe cause some noise in there. Who knows? We got to see how they click first. But I really like it, man, and it just has me excited to be a Bulls fan and like, you know, just I want Zach LaVine to stay, and I think these are some moves that are gonna make him realize, hey, the Bulls can be competitive, they can fight, and I'm just really glad. Also, got two of your favorite players, Omar. I know that probably bummed you out with Lonzo and Caruso, more so Caruso, right? Because we still pretty much stole him from the Lakers, but yeah, I mean, I was pretty happy to get with those signings. So that was just my thoughts on their offseason. I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, I liked what the Bulls did in terms of like kind of rehabilitating their image across the league, kind of like what the Knicks did last year. If you just like make the playoffs and don't have any like crazy player controversies or something, people will start looking at your team differently, especially star players. And I mean, they have a big market too, like you guys were mentioning, so that helps. Um, the one thing I will say though is I'm not sure if the Lonzo fit is perfect next to Zach LaVine. I feel like Zach LaVine isn't that great of like a guy who makes people better on his team. He could get better at that, but Lonzo, he's good at passing and transition, but he's not really like a table setter, half court offense point guard who can like dictate pick and rolls and find the open man. And I'm also worried about a team where your two forwards are going to be DeMar DeRozan and Patrick Williams, who probably don't have good three-pointers, which is going to be a cramp on spacing. But in general, I think they should make the playoffs, and that's just a good sign for Chicago considering what they've had to endure the past couple of years. So it wasn't a terrible offseason. It was just a lot of money for probably a mediocre team.
Is this saltiness for the Knicks dropping the bag on Evan Fournier, or what is this? What is this going?
That's a good deal. That's a better deal. I think that deal's fine, honestly, just because he's a 42% 3-point shooter, like uncontested. So if you've got like Julius Randle and RJ Barrett like driving into the lane, he's gonna knock him down. And same with Kemba. Those guys are both really good, wide open and uncontested jump shot shooters. So I'm hoping the Knicks offseason turns out been better than the Bulls, but we'll see. I think what's cool about the Eastern Conference now is there's a lot of intrigue on who are going to get in those top 6 spots because the Knicks, the Bulls, they got better. The Heat got better. I think the Wizards, you could make an argument they got better just because they have a lot more depth now, and I like the Spencer Dinwiddie trade. So the Eastern Conference has a lot more intrigue, and I'm just excited to see how these teams play it out.
Yeah, I think the Wizards did get a lot better. They're not gonna have Raul Neto playing huge playoff minutes now, or they're not gonna have Alex Len out there playing huge minutes.
Thanks.
Will be though. He'll have Alex Len playing huge minutes, but
Huge
no,
playoff minutes too.
Who?
Huge playoff minutes for Alex Len too. Watch out.
I don't know about that, but yeah, no. Overall, like I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the Kemba signing to New York. I personally didn't even think that a buyout was possible, given like how much he had left on his deal, right? But for the Knicks to get him at $8 million, it's an upgrade over Elfrid Payton, obviously. My question is like with a backcourt of Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, the Knicks will be giving up career highs to opposing backcourts every game. So that's my concern. But I mean, Kemba did average 19 a game, and a little bit concerned of maybe him under Tom Thibodeau, right? I don't know if they'll drive him into the ground, but if he could stay healthy, I think the Knicks definitely got a lot better, and they got that scoring guard that they really needed. Because putting everything on D Rose now, like D Rose is a good player, but you could not expect them to get like 20 something each game, especially in the playoffs. So I don't know. I think I like the pickup.
Yeah, I like the pickup too, especially because you mentioned his injury history and like he sat out on second nights of back to backs last year. I think that just allows or kind of forces Tom Thibodeau to play Emmanuel quickly at point guard more, and he's a better defender than both those guys and still a good shooter. So I'm hoping that Kemba they can maybe play him 25, 28 minutes a game. Just keep him fresh. Try not to hurt the knee too much because you have a young guard in Emmanuel Quickly, and quite frankly, their newest rookie, Quentin Grimes and Deuce McBride, they can play a little bit of guard too. So I think the thing I like about the Knicks now is they have great depth. They're kind of like too deep at every position. Their bench unit is one of the best bench units in the league with D Rose, Quickly, Burks. Nice background, Omar. Obi Toppin and then Nerlens Noel. But I think you're right with the guard defense. That's the reason why the Knicks had to keep Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel. They need really good rim protection because our guards are going to be getting blown by a lot. But I mean, I still think Knicks can be like a top 6, top 5 seed in the East. So I can't really complain considering the last 8 years I've had to endure.
I personally love the move for Kemba. Got the jersey right here. One of my favorite players of all time, returning to the hometown, getting a chance to do it big again. He's kind of had a little bit of a weird career arc recently. Like he was an all-star in Charlotte, and then he kind of became like the third option in Boston, and then he got salary dumped, and then now he got bought out. But $8 million for Kemba, I think, is a bargain. Has been a little bit injury prone, and like you said, with Tibbs coaching him, it could be a little bit of an issue going down the stretch. But he's still a super serviceable player, and he is a great isolation scorer. He can do like pick and roll, Julius Randle. I think he fits into that team well, and I think he can bring some much needed boost to them and kind of take them up another notch because they were right there in the playoffs, but their main play was like Randall downhill fade in the key. So like if you have another high quality isolation score, that's going to be huge when their sets kind of blow up.
Yeah, first hearing that like they got Kemba, I remember watching last year. I'm like, Kemba looked terrible, but now hearing that it's only $8 million, that could actually be a really good deal, like Will said, and it adds another scoring option. So with some worries on defense, I still think that's probably a good move. At first, when I saw that, I didn't realize. I thought it was for like a lot more money, but now that I'm hearing it's only $8 million from you guys, like I actually kind of like the move, and the Knicks should be a lot. They should repeat. They also gave Julius Randle the bag today. So, what do you guys think about that?
I think it's a steal for the Knicks, considering if he waited one more year, he could have gotten way more. He could have got upwards of like 30 to 33 million. And this time he's I think I saw a statistic with all of the all NBA players who made the team last year. I think he has the lowest average annual value of his contract. So like it's a pretty big bargain if he keeps playing as well as he did. I'm just hoping his shooting stays as good as it was last year because it could be potentially an outlier. But he seems like I listen to his interviews and stuff. He seems to be really committed to getting better, and like he became in great shape over the pandemic summer. And I'm hoping he comes back similar shape, maybe with some more work on how to deal with defenses collapsing on him, like happened in the playoffs, because that was tough to watch him shoot like 28% from the field. But we'll see. We'll see. I think the Knicks they're still waiting for that star to come available, whether it's Karl Anthony Towns or Damian Lillard. Um, but yeah, I think they've set themselves up pretty well this offseason to remain pretty good and still flexible to make a big swing.
Yeah, I mean, like Julius Randle, like you mentioned the playoffs. Julius Randle was on fraud watch during the playoffs. But I think like aside from that, from everything I've heard from just like him and people around, like the people that are like obviously like more plugged in on the Knicks, he seems to be like a super hard worker, and you can tell because like if you look at him when he came into the league and then like him last year, like you have to put in like hours and hours of work. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna get better. And for the Knicks, like you said, I think it was a great deal because had he waited next year for free agency, he probably would have gotten like a lot more. So for the Knicks, it helps them keep flexible and keep like an all-star caliber player on the team and it still gives you that flexibility down the road to if you want to make some moves for maybe another star. Julius Randle is definitely a good compliment around him. But I wanted to get your thoughts on another Eastern Conference team that I thought personally had one of, if not, they were at least top 3 best free agency, and that was the Miami Heat. I thought the Heat really solidified themselves as like they want to get back. They want to show that the bubble thing wasn't like it wasn't a fluke. They added Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson stayed. They added PJ Tucker, Victor Oladipo on basically what's like a minimum, which is like a low risk, possibly high reward if he could stay healthy. They added Markieff Morris, which I love. He can play the small ball 5 as well if necessary. So I don't know. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the Heat. What did you guys think of their moves? I think they're really up there. I wouldn't be surprised if they're up there with the Bucks and the Nets, honestly.
I would still say that they lack the star power to really compete with the Bucks and the Nets. Although I do like their team. I like that addition of Kyle Lowry. I think he gives them that's a pretty solid guard with good experience to add to the team. They kept. I also like the Duncan Robinson. How they kept him. I think last year was just kind of an off year for him, and I think he should get back to being a much more efficient 3-point shooter. So I do expect them to be in the mix and actually look a lot better this year. But also the whole Eastern Conference got a whole lot better. So maybe they may not have they may not place too well in the seeding, but I still expect them to be a really competitive team and should be a fun team to watch this year.
Any team that signs PJ Tucker is championship or bust. Any team he shows up on, they're going for it. Pretty friendly deal, honestly, for him. I love Kyle Lowry. I think he's a great leader. I think he's a really good facilitator, and he's going to help Jimmy play make. And they still keep the guys around that got like Duncan Robinson. They kept him on a pretty good deal for him, the highest paid undrafted player ever. But they still kept the money kind of low, and they have guys like Tyler Hero coming off the bench still, who he also had a really off year last year, but I think that they go pretty deep, and they're really well coached, and they're really well disciplined. And like, I think I kind of agree with you, Patrick, that I don't know if they're going to be the highest seeded team, but they can definitely make some noise in the playoffs because that's just the kind of team that they are. And Bam is definitely continuing to improve and continuing to become a big star. So if he can continue to get up there, keep playing deep, playmaking, maybe expand the scoring a little bit, then I think the team they built around him is going to be really good. And I think they can be that top 3, top 4 team in the East that maybe they're trying to be.
I think personally, they match up a lot better against the Nets, if all healthy, than versus the Bucks. So because Bam Adebayo was already like a huge mismatch versus the Nets in the regular season games. Like they had no one to guard. Like poor DeAndre Jordan was just out there, like he was just trying his best, but he just couldn't do anything. Bam was like going off. And then same thing with Blake Griffin. That man almost turned into dust trying to guard Bam Adebayo. So it's like, I think against the Nets, they match up really well because Bam gives them that height advantage, and they still have enough flexibility on the wings and stuff like that. And now you add PJ Tucker. That's like the PJ Tucker is like the definition of like a player that does all the dirty work you want, right? Like he'll guard your other team's best player. He can hit a 3 here or there, right? Like he can score 3 points and still have like an insane impact on the game because he's just a player like that. But yeah, I personally really like their off season, and as much as like we did like criticize them for not wanting to let go of Tyler Hero and stuff like that to go get James Harden, I feel like they've kind of recovered pretty well. And even if like someone like Tyler Hero can come off the bench and kind of pick up some of his rookie year form, I think it'll be great for them. And as like Will said, they're pretty deep as well. And can't believe no one mentioned that they added UC Santa Barbara legend Gabe Vincent. Big West represent. We're on the way up. We're on the way up.
Team Nigeria too, right? Yeah, so I think that he did pretty well considering they came into the offseason with no cap flexibility at all, and somehow were able to get probably the best player on the market that was actually interested in changing teams. So that's a pretty big win for them. I just don't think they're still going to be good enough to win the conference. Still seems to me like the Nets and the Bucks have kind of separated themselves as the two best teams. Um, Sixers, I mean, it remains to be seen if they get Damian Lillard for Ben Simmons, then they shoot up my rankings. But I'm just not sure that's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, the Heat. You think last year was pretty disappointing, a 6 seed. I think this year they should probably get back into the top 4.
I'd like to welcome Josh, who just showed up. Wanted to know what were your thoughts on the Heat's offseason? We're just getting into that. If you have any thoughts, go ahead. Let us know.
I was actually talking with like a Miami Heat fan last night at the California Classic, and their moves are big. Obviously, the Lowry addition is like the biggest move they could hope for, but he was worried about Kyle Lowry being too old to carry as a number 2, and I could see that. But at the same time, I think you still have Jimmy Butler and Yurt 7. Oh my goodness. Yurt 7 is like, watching him play, you can tell that he has a tremendous upside. And so if they can add him just even coming off the bench, then they have someone who can crash the boards and score. And I think that the Heat, same thing. I last year ending at a 6 seed, I would put them in top 4 this year.
You're watching Yurt 7 against the Lakers in the summer league. Like, he just looked like an NBA player. And I remember I texted Will. I was like, if the Heat don't give him a roster spot, someone around the league is going to give him a roster spot, because he's like insanely skilled and he's really good. But I don't know. I disagree on the fact that maybe they're not on the Nets and Bucks level, because I don't think the Nets did a lot to really like say that they were say that they're at, like, they're at this level. Like, they added Patty Mills, which was a pretty good pickup. They brought back Blake Griffin and Bruce Brown, and they brought James Johnson. But like, I still think that Jeff Green, losing Jeff Green to Denver was like a huge thing, because he was like their one main defender, because KD was never getting on like another player's best player, right? He's not defending them. Neither is Harden, neither is Kyrie. So Jeff Green did like that dirty work, right? Of like, he was guarding, they try to put him on Giannis, or they try to put him on Chris Middleton. And, I don't think the Nets necessarily got better. Obviously, what's going to matter in the end is if those 3 guys are healthy, but I just don't think the Nets did a lot for me to say like, oh, they're, a class above everyone in the East.
I don't think that there's really an insurance plan though for the Nets, because they can't. I mean, if those guys are healthy, then obviously they're like the upper echelon. But if they're not, then like they didn't really give themselves any wiggle room to be like, oh, we have this guy off the bench. Like, they have Patty Mills, offensively is great, but like you said, losing their best defender is going to be really painful. So it's going to be the same issue where they basically have to outscore the other team, which they're perfectly capable of doing. Maybe they could use a guy like Yurtseven and sign him up on the deal, because he at the California Classic, that's one of the best performances I've seen live both nights. First night he had like 20 and 20, but the Nets need someone, and with like, I don't know, a guy like PJ Tucker, they could have definitely used him, but he goes to one of their Eastern Conference kind of rivals at the top of there, and the Bucks obviously have really good defensive depth. So as far as how deep they go on defensively against these kind of elite teams, it doesn't really show up.
And another thing is that I think, oh, sorry, Josh.
Oh, no, it's good. I was just going to say, like, as a Spurs fan, I love Patty Mills to the Nets. I hate it as a Spurs fan, but I like Patty Mills going on to a team where he could actually win another championship. Like, I will take that for Patty Mills' future.
Yeah, no, I think the Patty Mills thing is a big pickup, but for me, it was like the Nets still need a big man, because like Nick Claxton, he showed like some potential, but even in the playoffs, he wasn't really like a huge factor. Like, they didn't even really play him. when it came down to it. And I just think they really needed need a legit big man who can move around and stuff like that. And obviously those are kind of at a premium right now, so you're not going to get them for cheap. But yeah, I thought that was like one of their bigger needs. And I mean, obviously you do have Patty Mills, like I said, and Bruce Brown is bringing him back. He was like a good part of it too. But if they put themselves in a position where, James Harden's been relatively healthy, but like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving have been like, they've had their issues in the last couple of years. So it's like, if you put yourself out there to lose one of those three, I think like they're in a dangerous spot because, as you mentioned, they don't have much room for error when it comes to injuries.
I think with KD like playing all this basketball for Team USA, I think he is understanding what he needs to bring to the next season. And I'm not going to stay on the Nets, but like them losing Spencer Dinwiddie and then adding Patty Mills is a better shooter. And as far as the Bucks, I mean, they're coming off a championship team already. So they didn't really need the pieces that they picked up, but it adds a little depth to their bench. And I think the East is definitely going to be more competitive with the pickups that we've seen just this far.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny when a certain someone goes out west, it's like, all of a sudden the East just has this resurgence. But I'm not gonna say any names. But yeah, I don't know. I just find that really funny. It's
Westbrook.
I mean,
why don't we just get to it, right? The main event, what everyone's been waiting for, what everyone's just been waiting to talk about. Could have easily brought it up in the beginning, didn't, because I wanted to give everyone else a shine. But this is what the people pay to see if they were paying.
Are we about to talk about the best team in California?
Yes, we are going to talk about the best team.
The Sacramento Kings.
Let's talk about the
Kings
after. We can talk about the Rashawn signing after. Omar can go first.
What are you going to talk about the Sacramento Kings? They added Alex Len.
Rashawn Holmes re-signed.
Tristan Thompson.
I think the Tristan Thompson trade is dead.
Is it really?
Stop it! Seriously?
Apparently, I mean, it's been the front office has been weird. Like Rashawn, actually, not very good news. It's Rashawn Holmes. The deal has not been officially signed, and he deleted his tweet about staying in Sacramento. So, but from the reporters inside, they were just saying that he just tweeted it prematurely and that the deal is still probably going to go ahead. They just actually haven't finished it yet. But also, the Tristan Thompson deal, apparently, like nothing has happened with it in like days. And it's like with Rashawn Holmes re-signing, like the Kings are probably just going to be like, yeah, we're probably going to do it anymore. So hopefully that happens. That'd be cool.
Hopefully this isn't like a Dwight Howard situation from last year. Remember when he sent out the tweet? It was like, I'm staying home in LA, and then he deleted it, and then he ended up going to the Sixers.
That would not be optimal. Rashawn Holmes is by far most important player to retain right now.
Like, yeah, absolutely. I gotta 100% agree with that.
He is so good. He is so important. But the rookies we got too, they're pretty cool. I mean, like I said, we can talk about Omar's kind of lackluster Lakers first, and then we can get to the exciting Kings.
Hold up. I just had a quick question. So we were Pat, myself, and Josh, we were on the live stream for the NBA draft. And when they picked Davion Mitchell, we were really curious on like why, right? Because he's like another small guard. So I just wanted to get like I guess or whatever you've read, because obviously you read more on the Kings than I do. But like how is that gonna? Are they planning to bring like one of them off the bench, play all a 3-guard lineup? Like what are they really planning to do? I don't really get it. But I guess best player available.
Yeah, it's not. People aren't really super sure about it. I think that Monte McNair is trying to build an identity that prides itself on defense and like toughness, and that's all Davion Mitchell does is basically play defense. He's super tough, great guy, great character. So I think that's where that came in. I don't know if it was the best option for fit, but we've seen plenty of 3-guard lineups thrive. The thing is that he is not like, it's not like he's a very like big versatile guard. Like he is a pretty much like his mold is point guard because he's not big enough to do anything else. But he can definitely guard above his size, and he was probably the best perimeter defender in the draft, which is what the Kings really needed. And then they drafted Nemias Keita, who is a really good interior defender. So they ended up drafting two really good defenders. I think a 3-guard line with Davion Mitchell can work. I mean, I'm probably just biased and hopeful, but I would like to see an actual NBA game first, because just having a actually like elite perimeter defender in the backcourt is going to be huge, because the Kings have almost never had that ever. So, I mean, like Doug Christie maybe. So I would love to see an actual good guard defender. And then De'Aaron and Tyrese obviously are still progressing. So I think it'll be good. It'll be interesting, but I don't think we're going to know exactly for sure what it's going to look like until we really see it on opening night.
I honestly, when I saw them draft Davion Mitchell, the first thing I thought was De'Aaron Fox trade. And the first team that comes to my mind is the Sixers. So maybe De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield for Ben Simmons. How would you feel about that, Will?
I feel really bad. I would love to get Ben Simmons, but I cannot justify the expense of De'Aaron Fox or Tyrese Halliburton to get him. I would love, like, he'd be great on the Kings. It's just kind of funny because the Kings are like a bunch of delusional Kings fans, more delusional than I are on Twitter, like, let's give him Buddy and Bagley and maybe a first. Like, he was second in DPOY voting. He's an all NBA first team defender. He's like a multiple time all-star, and he was the #1 overall pick. We're going to need to give a little bit more than our overpaid garbage shooter and one of the worst draft picks in the past decade. So, and no shade. All those guys, Buddy Hield signed my jersey, so I'll always have respect for him, and I hope Bagley pans out, but that's just not a good haul. Like, it would have to be either Tyrese Halliburton or De'Aaron Fox in a big package to get Ben going anywhere near our team. But it would be cool. I mean, perimeter defense, like, there are a few better than Ben.
That's my thing. If you get Ben Simmons and Davion Mitchell all on the same court, that's a pretty good defense. Richaun Holmes too.
Yeah, that'd be great. But speaking of perimeter defense, whispers around the organization, Kings are going to make a play for Pascal Siakam. So that would.
I heard the same thing about the Spurs. So
let's see who gets there first. Let's see which bottom feeder Western Conference team gets there first.
First of all, this is just trying to get rid of him because he's making too much money.
I wouldn't mind that. I would like a Buddy Hield and like some sort of package around that for Siakam, like De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, Harrison Barnes, Siakam, and Richaun Holmes with Davion Mitchell off the bench. That'd be kind of nice.
That'd make like the play-in tournament probably.
That would easily make I think that could be straight up playoffs.
First of all, the Spurs are like the equivalent now. The Spurs and Greg Popovich are the equivalent of Jordan on the Wizards. They're washed. It's over. San Antonio's done. But I think, the Siakam, like if there's really Kings fans that say Marvin Bagley and Buddy Hield and a first for Ben Simmons, they obviously haven't seen the fact that they offered the Warriors 4 firsts. Like, it was 4 firsts, James Wiseman, Andrew Wiggins, and it's like that's not getting done. I don't know if you guys like. I don't know. I just don't really know what the Sixers are doing. Today it came out that apparently Ben Simmons like cut off all communication with the Sixers organization. So like you can't go back. So like, and then you sign like Andre Drummond, which like I don't even know. Like you guys know how I feel about Drummond. I'm not even gonna start on that. But it's like you have Joel Embiid there, and it's like I don't know what the Sixers are doing. They looked in such good position, but now I'm like not even sure.
Okay, hold up. So Spurs ain't washed yet. Okay. I'm still reeling over like the Primo pick. Y'all saw me that night. I'm still like, I watched him play a little in the Valley or in Salt Lake. And I'm still not sold on him, but it is what it is. Every year you get some players who look like they don't have talent and then they come out and ball. But besides the point, Ben Simmons, like what they're asking for him, I think I get it. Last week it was like something outrageous, and they were still like, "Nah, that's not enough." And I 100% understand that. But now that he has cut off all communication apparently. You could give him away, but you want to make sure what you get back is fair. But you're not getting like 3 first-round picks and from any team for Ben Simmons right now. And yes, I understand he's a number 1 overall and had that potential at some point. But until he learns how to use that jumper, until he learns how to shoot the 3, he's a liability outside of his defense. So I really don't know what the Sixers are going to get back. And now that the relationship is spoiled altogether, they have to move him. So someone's going to get him. And with me being upset about the Primo pick, if Ben Simmons came to the Spurs, I'm not even going to be upset. I would give away, like, I would possibly put DeJounte Murray on the table if just to get Ben Simmons. But the idea is we want DeJounte to play with Ben, and we don't have any other pieces besides that. So Spurs ain't washed. I think we could still we're making playoffs again. The Lakers are just like, after what the week they had, the minute free agency opened, it was like nothing for 2 hours. And then Lakers. So it is what it is.
Also, this is just like off topic, but when we were doing the draft live stream, when the Spurs took Josh Primo, who was projected in the 2nd round, they took him at in the lottery. I want to say Josh said a total of like 5 words the rest of the time because he was just in shock the whole time. Like he just didn't say anything, and he's just like, "Sorry guys, I'm just in shock. I just can't believe that they picked someone." Like he was just so disappointed. But yeah,
I'm still disappointed. It was oh my God. Like I'm still upset. I haven't seen enough of this man to feel any type of way about it. And that's not how I should feel about a lottery pick.
No, but I mean, what can you realistically say that the Sixers could get back at this point, right? Like what do you think? Like they want an all-star caliber player. Like what can they realistically get? Because like you mentioned the Dame Lillard thing, right, Myles? I think you mentioned the Dame Lillard thing. I think at this point you can't get Dame. I think there's more of a chance you can get CJ McCollum, not Dame Lillard. So I wonder if like maybe like a CJ and Robert Covington maybe package with some picks, if that'll help the Sixers. But I can't see them getting like a Damian Lillard or like this superstar, right? I just can't really see that happening.
It's going to depend, I think, on what, I don't know, like they're just not he's a low level all-star. So it's not like they're going to get some like crazy return back, and they're going to have to include their own players if they do try to move for like a high-end star. And like what team with a superstar like wants to get like the question mark of Ben Simmons on their team? Like if you are trading your like perennial all-star, you want to get like guaranteed young assets or like a superstar that can really do it. So I don't think that there's just no middle ground. Like I don't think the Sixers are asking for way too much, and the teams that are offering, I think, are offering too little. So it has to be where they find the middle ground, where it's like a package that kind of works for both teams, but both teams are gonna have to acknowledge their hubris about how highly they evaluate their talent and see how that works out. And I don't know if it ever will.
Yeah, to me, Omar brought it up. I think eventually the Sixers are going to settle on CJ for Ben Simmons, just because it kind of solves 2 issues. It gets hopefully Dame Lillard off their back and saying, "Look, we traded for this all-star defensive player of the year caliber guy to help solve our defensive issues," right? And then with the Sixers, it says, "Oh, Joel Embiid, we finally got a pick and roll ball handler who can play with you and set you up and hit threes." You know, I think CJ, they've done looks at his stats without Dame. He like averages like close to 6, maybe 7 assists per game when he's the lead ball handler. So I think he could do that role pretty admirably in Philadelphia. And you know, it's a pretty even deal. I think maybe one team, maybe because CJ's older, maybe the Blazers have to throw in like Anthony Simons or like a 1st-round pick or something. But I think it's a pretty fair deal. Both sides come out better. That it's a better fits on both sides. But I just honestly don't really see any other team giving the Sixers what they want besides the Kings with maybe a De'Aaron Fox package because they obviously need like a point guard who can shoot threes and coexist with Joel Embiid. And that is just, if they don't have that when they start the season, it's a crime. And I think Daryl Morey's smart enough to know that they're going to get a Ben Simmons trade done. I was reading John Hollinger in The Athletic basically saying Daryl Morey's, he's like that guy in fantasy. He always starts trades off with terrible one-sided trades, but he eventually comes back down because he's just trying to get a feeler. So I wouldn't be surprised if they make a trade sometime in like August, maybe even September.
Definitely. I think we could get into the Lakers now, Omar. I know you've been waiting, but we had to cover the more relevant teams with bigger headlines, you know. Anyways, they made a lot of moves. You want to break them down, Omar, for us?
I mean, if you insist,
Hold
Pat,
up, because where
you
your head
insist.
is on Rob Pelinka's lap, bro.
It for some reason it didn't crop right. It was the picture of him with the waves. Doesn't look great.
I was gonna say, it just looked like you were laying in his lap.
But anyways, Pelinka is the GOAT. I think he like the amount of moves that the Lakers made this year, this offseason. I think it like all the questions that they had about shooting, and it's like the Lakers can't space the floor and they can't do this. It was like what are you gonna do with Russell Westbrook, right? Like they absolutely just completely shut that out now. I think they added the shooters that they really need to. Aside from Russ, which last week I was kind of like skeptical, honestly. Like I didn't know how to feel. But at this point right now, I'm all in on the Russ train. I love it. He's going to have high energy. He's this high energy guy, physical guy that is going to take a load off of LeBron. In terms of and during the regular season, like he won't have to, like Russ. The thing about Russ is he goes all out, whether he's playing against the Magic or he's playing against the Nets, he goes the same amount of effort. Which I love, and I think it's gonna keep that pressure going. He's gonna keep attacking the basket and things like that. And apparently, Anthony Davis, LeBron, and Russ met like weeks ago, and they talked about it. And they had said that they would put their egos on the side to play together. And
So that's not collusion. Are you serious?
no, because Kawhi did that same thing, and no one batted an eye when he met with Paul George. When he forced his way to the Clippers.
And Adam Silver's got to get the reins on all the collusion, because we have literally super teams in the East and West now because they're talking to each other in the offseason.
Hold up.
I could understand.
Super team. This Lakers team is not a super team whatsoever.
Get out of here. My Lord.
This is not. There's no way that this is the same level as James Harden in his prime, Kevin Durant still in his prime, Kyrie Irving.
Exactly. 3 max contracts.
The max contracts doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all. THT got a max contract for a second rounder. Does that mean it's a super team? No, it's just a max contract. We didn't give Russ the max. He already had the max. We just traded for him. That's it. 2 MVPs, one potential, one player better than the Finals MVP this year. Whatever. I don't think it's a super team. I think there's a lot of doubt. I really don't think it, because all of a sudden what we heard about Russ weeks ago during the playoffs was like he's overrated, he's trash, he's all this, and now all of a sudden it's a super team. Where's that same energy, guys? I don't know what's going on here. But
this man surpassed Oscar Robinson in triple doubles.
Yeah, and according to everyone else, that doesn't matter. He's just stat padding. He's trash. He's just stat padding.
No way. This is
I don't know. Like I mean, it kind of
this conversation is ridiculous.
Kind of feels
they are a super team.
It's the Lakers victim narrative. It's the Lakers pretending to struggle.
You know what it's time for, Will?
You
know what this reminds me of?
It's
time for this.
God, so tired. I'm so tired.
We believe there's so many people doubting the Lakers this year. It's crazy. Like,
I'm frankly exhausted.
Brought back Dwight Howard.
Y'all are literally the favorite.
Y'all are the favorite. Howard. I think Melo is going to be a cool off the bench. Trevor Ariza, he's someone that I've actually been wanting for a while, because like he can still at least give you something on the defense. Obviously, he's not prime He's not prime Trevor Ariza, right? He's not '09 Trevor Ariza from the Lakers, but he's still a really good player, and he can really guard you can at least a body that you can throw on the perimeter. The Wayne Ellington deal shot 42% from three. Kent Bazemore, that's the one move that I was like, I don't know, because I did watch a fair amount of Warriors games last year, and I'm not a Warriors fan at all, but Kent Bazemore made me like so mad for some reason. But given his role, I think it's gonna be like, I don't think his role is gonna be as big as it was on the Warriors, right? Like on the Warriors, he was a big offensive load was put on him, but at least Kent Bazemore can shoot the three like decently enough, and he's at least a big enough body that you can throw on the wing. So I mean, it is what it is. The Kendrick Nunn one for me was the one that shocked me. I didn't think Kendrick Nunn was even an option, but the fact that they were able to pull that off, if he can recover some of that, his rookie year was like pretty solid. If he can recover some of that, he did struggle at times last year, but I think if around like the players that he's going to be around, he's going to have more of a ball handler role off the bench, and I'd love to see him in the lineup. And THT being back, I love that move as well. So I personally love the Lakers offseason, and as much as the media wants to talk about that they're old and all this stuff, we'll prove you guys wrong. We'll prove you guys wrong. Just wait.
I think there's no question the Lakers are a super team when they have 3 max contract players, 3 of the most recognizable faces in the NBA, and 2 former MVPs, 1 potential MVP. I mean, half of the LA ESPN crew last year was predicting Anthony Davis to win the MVP this year until he got once again injured. But I just think the Lakers are going to be really good. Like, I'm not trying to say they're going to be bad, honestly. That's why I call them a super team, because they're basically going to try to do what they did in the bubble, which was we're bigger than you and we're going to feast in the paint. And quite frankly, if you put AD at the 5, LeBron at the 4, Kent Bazemore at the 3, and like Malik Monk or Kendrick Nunn at the 2, and then have Russell Westbrook just going downhill at the rim over and over again, that's almost impossible to stop, And if you have a healthy AD, he can cover a lot of your defensive issues. So, like, while obviously I think a lot of people look at Westbrook and are like, oh, he's a terrible defender, and he shoots 17-foot jumpers with 20 seconds left in the shot clock and breaks them all the time. Like, yeah, he's got flaws. But if you saw when the Rockets traded Clint Capella, he had like the most efficient stretch of his entire season because he was just going downhill constantly, only shooting at the rim because they had the 4 shooters and drawed the big opposing team's big man out. If you can just do that with AD and LeBron, like, he could be a pretty successful offensive player. I just think it's going to be up to AD to cover a lot of those defensive shortcomings.
I also agree they're a super team. That's 3 top 20 players. I think you can make a case for Russell Westbrook being a top 20 player, the worst top 25. But yeah, like, it's again, like Myles saying, that they're gonna be good. Like, I think they're gonna figure it out, especially with the shooters they added. I really like Malik Monk. I've always liked Malik Monk for whatever reason, but I mean, I thought that was a pretty good signing. Kendrick Nunn, also, like you were saying earlier, Omar, that was a pretty under the radar one that no one saw happening, but it happened, and that's a pretty good addition. I'm also pretty hyped that LeBron will have played with like all of the top 4 picks in his, or 4 of the top 5. Where is it? Was it him, Melo, Bot? They're all top 4, right? Or is it 4 of the top 5? Like, I don't want to.
It's 4 of the top 5 because I think Darko Milicic was.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about him. So yeah, 4 of the top 5. I think that's really cool. Just to add Melo to that. Hopefully Melo can get a ring. I like Melo, so it's gonna be a fun team to watch at the very least. So can't wait to see it. But yeah, they're a super team.
I just looked it up, and the last time that LeBron James, Dwight Howard, and Carmelo Anthony were all on the same team was the 2008 Olympics. And they all shot over 40%. And that's not a super team. That was 2008.
This was prime.
And they added Russell Westbrook to the equation. And Dwight Howard last year was looking like prime Dwight Howard. So if Carmelo can reach his prime again,
look,
this is ridiculous. The Lakers are a super team.
Look, I'm just going based off of what everyone was saying about these players before they were on the Lakers.
Come
Carmelo is
on,
washed.
man.
Carmelo is washed. Dwight Howard is old. Ariza is washed. LeBron is washed. AD's injury prone. Westbrook is garbage. Like where's that narrative going? All of a sudden now we're just this super team. Like, nah, that's not the same energy that it was last year, man. That's not the same.
This is the Beatles getting back together after 2008 Olympic gold medal.
No, there's no way this is even comparable to a super team. I think if you LeBron's not in his prime anymore, Dwight's not in his prime, Carmelo's not in his prime.
LeBron, Carmelo Anthony, and Dwight Howard have been friends for over a decade, and LeBron spends over $2 million on just his body. Come on. It doesn't matter if he's 36, 37.
The thing is
he
that
can play until he's 45 and he'll still be out here dogging guys.
He's not in his prime though. That's my point. Like, just because I say he's not in his prime doesn't mean that he's garbage. He's just like I don't think it's controversial to say LeBron's not in his prime anymore, right? I don't think that's
just because he's not in his prime doesn't mean he isn't still a top 10 player.
He was
top 2 player.
I'm just going based off what I've been hearing about these players before they were on the Lakers. But I already know that the narrative changes once they join the most successful franchise in the NBA. I just know the narrative changes, especially when you add LeBron in there. Love the moves. Can't wait for banner number 18, and I can't wait for the actual parade this time. It's going to be really fun.
I love that we just witnessed Omar fabricate an underdog story in under 10 minutes. That was beautiful to witness.
Are we really surprised by it though? I mean, this is the same guy trying to push.
I'm not making this up.
Following Omar on Twitter, I do get a little glimpse in the Lakers Twitter, and it is a cesspool of insolence that I don't want to be a part of. It's not fun to look at. It's a bunch.
Literally, I've literally made none of this up. Anything I've said right now about the Westbrook, Melo, Dwight, anything, I have not made it up. It's literally things that I've seen them talk about. And now all of a sudden they join the Lakers, they join LeBron, and whoa, they're getting prime Melo, prime Dwight. They're getting 2012 Westbrook and 2000.
Okay, it's not like those. Obviously not like Melo. Melo is obviously not the same player he used to be. He's like a 10-point off the bench, like helpful scorer, and like Dwight is not the same at all either. But Westbrook is still really, really good. One of the best point guards in the NBA and a first ballot Hall of Famer who is still somewhat in his like athletic prime. Like he's still near it at least. So, and adding that to Lamicki and A. Disney, those two guys together with anybody is going to be like any star caliber player with those two is a super team. You got, ring chaser A. Disney with old washed Lamicki, LaChina, LaTweet, LaDelete Tweet, all of them. It's going to be a good team, and it's going to be considered a super team because LeBron's the greatest player ever. And according to Omar, Anthony Davis is better than Tim Duncan. So,
we all know that's not true. We all know that's not true.
I've had this conversation with Omar a few times, but you can't say that Anthony Davis is better than Tim Duncan and then not acknowledge the Lakers are a super team.
First of all, AD has surpassed Kevin Garnett, and he's about to surpass Tim Duncan after this next championship. If Tim Duncan tried behind the back, step back three, he'd tear everything in his body.
Oh my God.
Just absolutely just tear everything in his body. He's an absolutely better player. He's Tim Duncan he had the greatest coach of all time. He had one of the most stacked teams of all time. So I think, AD is definitely a lot better as an individual player. I just want to, I guess if we've talked too much Lakers, I just want to end up with this quote that the great said. Keep talking about my squad, our personnel ages, the way he plays. He stays injured. We're past our time in this league, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do me one favor, please. And I mean, please keep that same narrative energy when it begins. That's all I ask. And that's all I ask too. Just keep that same energy. That same energy of like all these players are old and washed. I need the same throughout the whole season. I don't want to hear this super team. I don't want to hear. I don't know what ESPN was saying of a big four. What is this? Did we go back to 2012? Is this a big? Did we go back to 2012? Is this prime Dwight, prime Melo, prime? Like, is this what we're doing now? No, this is not.
Well, he's
not
really pushing
at
this
all.
narrative, though. He's really like he's trying to hype himself into
all
it.
I'm
Like,
saying is keep that same narrative and energy when that underdog Lakers team wins the championship. That's all I'm asking.
We're not
There's
going to.
okay.
We don't have that
I get,
energy.
I get what you're trying to say, Omar, and I get that you're trying to push the buttons, but also at the same time, like advocate for your team. But there is no such thing as a regular season LeBron underdog. Like even at this point in his career, because he does have that power forward that doesn't want to play center with him. Like any team with it just can't be an underdog. A team that's that top heavy just can't. It just can't.
Street clothes. Anthony Davis. LeBron is washed, injury prone. Russell Westbrook is a stat pattern and he's garbage. Melo is a diva. Dwight Howard is been washed for 5 years. That's all I've been hearing. So I just wanted to know where all of that went. That's my only question. Where did that all go? Where did that all go?
The last
That's my only
time
question.
LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and Carmelo Anthony were on the same team was the 2012 USA team.
When they were in their primes.
And they all shot over 47% for the entirety of 8 games.
You know why they're on a minimum contract? Because they are no longer in their primes. Kyle Kuzma is better than Carmelo Anthony right now.
No way.
Get it.
Right
oh
now.
my God.
He's better
Oh my
than
God.
Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony
awful.
has a bigger name. Carmelo Anthony has
I
a bigger
can't believe you just said that.
That is
at least
really
Kuzma,
messed up.
at least
Omar.
Kuzma can
I'm
guard
actually annoyed
someone.
now. I'm actually really unhappy.
At least Kuzma can guard someone. If Melo is not making shots, he's not doing anything. This isn't prime Melo. This isn't New York Knicks Melo.
Melo locked up Jokic in the playoffs this year. Didn't you see that?
Yeah, what are you talking
He
about?
got absolutely torched. But Omar, if the Lakers are a super team, how come they are more favored to win next year's NBA championship than the current NBA champions, the Milwaukee Bucks?
Because first of all, the Bucks didn't do anything to get better. And also, I'm telling you, it's a name thing. It's a name. When you see the names LeBron and Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis and Carmelo Anthony and Dwight Howard, you see these names and it's like, oh, like the Lakers are, like, oh, there's this amazing team. Like, it's not that. That's clearly not the Vegas odds aren't the ones that aren't the media. The media is clearly
You can't have it both ways.
Clearly saying something different. And these, like, the thing is that these players are not like they're just bigger names. Like they're household names that I've known since I started watching basketball. Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, known them since I was like 9 years old, 10 years old watching basketball. And that's why they're big names, but they're not the same players. So it's like, how are you pushing the super team narrative? How are you making a big four out of this team? This makes no sense.
I'm just making a big 3, considering you have a guy who they're adding who just averaged triple doubles for 4 of the last 5 years.
But all I've heard is that he's trash. He's a stat patter, and none of the games or the stats that he puts up matter to winning. So that's all I just want to know. That's all I want to know.
There's a difference. No, there's a difference between saying he's not a championship caliber 1 or 2, but between that and saying, oh, he's a terrible player and that. I think most people acknowledge he's a good regular season player and he's probably a great number 3, which he's never been in his career. But I just think he is very obviously a star in this league. And if you add him to 2 mega stars like LeBron and AD are 2 like the top 5 players in the NBA when they're healthy. So if you add another top 20 or top 25 guy who averages 20, 10, and 10 every year, how is that not 3 superstars on the same team?
It's not, because apparently from what I've heard, Westbrook is not that. But don't worry.
You're hearing that from the wrong people.
LeBron and the Lakers are going to show KD how you win with Russ, and you don't run from the grind like that.
That is a really good storyline.
I really hope the Kings beat you guys. I really hope the Kings
They
beat you
can't
guys because
even
they
beat us
play
in the
up to
California
no,
Classic. What are you
they play up
talking about?
to great teams. Great
That
teams,
is
the Kings
true.
always show up. And so I hope the Kings beat y'all at least
That
twice
is
this
true,
season.
Josh.
You
The
can't
Kings,
even
the Kings
beat
always
Mac
show up.
McClung. What do you want? What do you expect? You think Marvin Bagley is going to
Okay,
shut down
so
Anthony Davis? Marvin
being
Bagley
honest,
will tear every
McClung
bone in his body if he tries to guard Anthony Davis. He's already
McClung balled
super
out
injured.
last night. What I saw of Justin McClung, like the little bit that he was on the court, his handles were there. Like this guy was hitting behind the back Magic Johnson passes. So McClung actually has a bunch of talent. But I hope the Kings beat y'all twice this year. Just because, just out of principle. Just out of principle.
Look, just for the Aggie Talk, for the Aggie Talk faithful, when the Lakers play in Sacramento, I'm going to go with this "We Believe" sign, and I'm gonna go to the game in Sacramento, and I'm gonna be putting it up, and I'm gonna be holding it up.
Wait, Omar, when is that game? Or when
I don't know. The schedule hasn't released yet, but when it is, just know I'm penciling it in right
because
there.
I will
I'm there.
drive back up from Long Beach to go to that game with you.
Okay, we'll make that plan then. We'll make that plan. Whoever wants to go to the game, we'll go to the game. We'll go to the game.
And I will watch as my Sacramento Kings win by 20 in our most beautiful stadium in the NBA.
And now that we're done with that, I guess we can move on. Unless there's something else. I mean, I really doubt. I mean, we pretty much had a pretty good conversation there. But before we do move on from basketball, Will Wyman, I know you were playing in a basketball tournament this past week, actually. How'd that go?
It was great. All right, so Backyard Summer Classic. We've been doing it for a few years now. It's me and a bunch of my high school buddies. We get together and we play basketball in my friend's backyard. 3v3 tournament, and my team is the Downpour. We finished with the first regular season record. We were 5-1, and we went on to the championship game. Lost a tough one. Big legacy moment for me, as Patrick was pointing out in the comments during the live stream. And I let the fans down. I won't lie. I played pretty badly, but I was not feeling great. Got the COVID test, negative. We're all straight, so all good there. I'm pretty sure I had heat stroke was what actually happened, which was really not good. I felt really bad, but I had some good games. I had great teammates. I drafted two of my good friends that I actually grew up playing basketball with. We were on the same elementary school team. Got it done. I appreciate you guys for watching, tuning in, and it was a lot of fun. And we're gonna do it again next summer. So hopefully we'll win it again that next time.
All I'm saying.
How many teams is it?
It's 9 teams, and we're gonna expand to
Expansion.
We're in an expansion. It's honestly like it's kind of a big thing in Davis. Like we get like random people like texting us, like asking us if we can play. And we're like,
Yeah, it's time for like a 3-team expansion.
I know
12 teams.
That'd be so sick. We honestly probably have enough people for it, but it's huh?
I also, if you guys didn't know, Tim Donaghy was actually the ref in that final.
There was the fix was in definitely with I'm not. I'll mention something about that off camera. Actually, I'm not going to talk about that, but the refs definitely was questionable for part of it. I think Pat watched. I don't know if Omar did, but with our first round playoff game, I was getting heckled pretty bad by the fans because we were the 1 seed playing the 8 seed in the first round, and I was getting heckled at the free throw line. People were like calling it my farmer's tan. They were like Giannis counting me. It was really
they were Giannis counting him. They were Giannis. That was the part. But you did.
Pretty brutal.
I mean, we could maybe post that hook shot that you had because that was very
absolutely
like just like there's
that hook was nasty. That was like one of my top plays.
Yes, sir. And also I will say absolutely. I also will say that I finished with the best free throw percentage in the tournament at like 76%. So I was pretty happy about that. I was working on that in the off season, but it pays off.
I'm gonna need to talk with whoever. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if Adam Silver made this schedule, but you guys played like 5 days straight, like 2 games each.
Bro, we honestly had a nice schedule. Like it was brutal, and we had we're getting old. Like there were so many injuries. Like we had like 3 dudes roll their ankles. Like one guy like fractured his patella. Like it was really bad. We had a few guys that just sit out. But it was really fun, and I appreciate you guys were tuning in and watching. It was a great time.
Very high intensity basketball. That's what we needed to see in this basketball off season.
Let me know about that expansion.
Yes, sir. I will. Yeah, I'll let you guys know when we're getting back into it. I think we're gonna do a winter edition too, because we had a winter edition a few years ago.
Team Aggie Talk or what? Team Aggie Talk?
Team Aggie Talk would be great. That would be a lot of it's super fun. We get a lot of good guys out there, so it'd be fun. We should play basketball together regardless of that, though. We got a nice 5 right here.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm a big man.
That's what we need.
How tall are you, Josh?
6 foot, but my wingspan is 6'8".
Hey,
Okay.
Rondo.
Dang. Okay.
I got long
Sick.
arms. I'm telling you.
You'll take over the Bob spot of Bob was our big man, but now you're gonna be our big man now. All right. Because none of us are like. Well, I guess Myles is pretty tall, but he's more of like a wing. He's more
I'm more of a Draymond. So like Draymond's defense, I can do
Yeah,
all.
we'll go. I'll be small ball 5. You can be the big defensive 4. Omar on the wing, Myles play creating, shooting guard, and then Patrick at the 1.
Myles is like he's like when Westbrook has like 9 assists, and it's like he has like an open layup, but he just like drops it off to someone. That's the way he plays.
Love it.
I play
Yeah,
Julian Newman kind of assist basketball only.
We played together. We played at Derry like one time, and it was super fun. That was a great group.
Michael's not here right now, but he was a lockdown defender. He's like first team all defense. I hate when Michael guards me. It was terrible.
He's got that football player defense.
Love it. Also, I've gone to the Arc with Omar a couple of times. Really fun. It's a good one out there.
They run 5s out there?
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh yes, let's do it.
The runs at the Arc are honestly really good, and the runs at Derry are not too bad either. The runs at Derry, I will say, getting a little bit off topic from pro sports, but the runs at Derry can get a little bit dangerous. I've definitely witnessed a few fights out there, a few pretty interesting threats as well off the court. So
they play like Coach Jim Les is out there, just like trying to fill out the roster.
Honestly, sweating. Yeah.
That we got through that talk. I kind of like that though. But I wanted to go a little bit into baseball, but I think we could just do final thoughts. The Hall of Fame game starts in like 20 minutes, and I kind of wanted to see that. But so, any final thoughts you guys wanted to share? Anyone can start.
Messi is coming to Chelsea. Cannot wait. The greatest to ever do it is coming. Is it any coincidence also that that Ray Hudson, beIN Sports color commentator that would literally cry watching Messi play, left his position, and then a week later Messi is not coming back to FC Barcelona? Is it any coincidence? I don't know, but Messi changing teams. You can see on Omar's background, he's joined the Lakers. It's going to be a new era. It's definitely going to add to his GOAT legacy, because one of the biggest thing Ronaldo fans say is, well, Ronaldo went to Serie A and Messi only stayed in La Liga the whole time. Like, really, bro? Serie A is a worse league. Okay, Messi's the greatest. That is one. I can respect the Jordan LeBron debate. I can respect, but for me, it's Messi all the way. I mean, I'm LeBron all the way, but I think Messi even more so. If you watch the guy play, he's a literal magician, and I think he's going to do great things wherever he goes. We'll be riding the pulse of that one too. We'll see where he goes. I got Fabrizio Romano's notifications on for Twitter.
We finally got that Copa America title too this summer.
Yeah, throw it in the GOAT case. You know, he's right there.
I think he's gonna go to PSG because PSG is starving for to win a Champions League. So they're
imagine how mad Neymar would be.
they're gonna drop. No, Neymar was recruiting during the Copa America. Like, I don't know if you saw like
That's
the pictures.
true.
Like, he was talking to Messi a lot, and he was like playing around with Messi a lot. So hey man, all I'm gonna say is Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe. That front would be better than Messi, Neymar, and Suarez was. I'll say that.
That is a good take.
I guess I could go for final thought. My final thought, I said it yesterday. Check the archives. I said Wednesday, Max Scherzer will be a Dodger by next episode, and he was, and yesterday I got to go see him in his first start. Absolutely great. Like, he's just a monster. Like, he's a stud. Like, I didn't like the fact that he threw over 100 pitches, but I feel like he probably just told Dave Roberts, like, leave me out there because he's a dog like that. Like, he's like the pitcher that you want, right? And I could tell why Nationals fans really wanted him. He got a curtain call his first game at Dodger Stadium. Got a curtain call, 7 innings, 10 strikeouts, and beat the Astros. So, and like I was telling Pat, he got the Kenley Jansen experience too. So he got to witness that. He got to witness how that feels like. But yeah, no, I'm just super excited, and I find it really, really hard if the Dodgers get healthy. I find it really, really hard that you have to face, Seager, Muncy, Turner, Trey Turner now, Chris Taylor, who's been balling out, AJ Pollock, who's on fire. I find it hard to believe like you're gonna beat that team. Plus, they're gonna have Bueller, Scherzer, and Kershaw for 3 games. Like, I just find that super hard to believe who's beating that, and I have a hard time seeing anyone beating that. So, just super excited, and that's my final thought.
I really like how you left out Cody Bellinger. Like, really, that fraud.
Look. He's been struggling. Yesterday, he got on base twice. All right, he did good yesterday. He's improving. There's still enough time for him to get it going, but obviously not the best of years for him. So pretty disappointed with that. But his defense is always like he always finds a way to make like insane defensive plays that help out wins. If you remember that game last year against the Padres where he stole Tatis's home run, like even if he's not hitting, even if he doesn't have a hit, he always finds ways to maybe throw a runner out at home or steal a home run or things like that. So his defense is always valuable, and that's honestly what's keeping him on the field. But I have a feeling like when it's time, he'll turn it up. He last year, same thing, he was struggling, but in the playoffs when he needed to get a hit, he got a hit. So I'm not but Chris Taylor's emergence and Mike Muncy's emergence has really kind of like overshadowed the fact that he's been struggling a lot.
I'll just be real quick. I just want to say that I'm loving what I'm seeing from the young guys in the NBA. Obviously, Luka Doncic taking Slovenia to the bronze medal round, but who would have thought about that Nick Batum block to stop Slovenia from going? I would have never thought Nick Batum would have been. I would have thought Rudy Gobert, but not Nick Batum. So I just want to say I hope the U.S. comes through with the gold medal. Carmelo already called it, so they better win the gold medal, or he's going to look like a fool. It's Friday, so stop. But yes, Nick Batum, I would have never guessed in a million years. But it's USA basketball is fun to watch. But I heard a lot of people giving Greg Popovich a bunch of nonsense, even though he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. And as a Spurs fan, as my final thought, I have to say Greg Popovich is an absolute Hall of Famer first ballot. You guys are crazy if you think anything otherwise. And so same thing with Tim Duncan. AD and Tim Duncan are not on the same level, and Tim Duncan is flat out better. Greg Popovich is, did you say carried? Nah. Greg Popovich is going to be the most winning coach of all time. And no one can dispute that. It is sad that the Spurs are not great right now, but he's taking this Team USA to a gold medal when, same thing, Omar, you're talking about everyone was saying the Lakers are bad or these players were bad. They were saying Team USA was like lucky to even make the bronze medal. And here they are playing for a gold. So I hope that people put some respect on Tim Duncan's name, first of all, and Greg Popovich's name, second of all.
I guess I can go. We're getting some Dodgers propaganda over here, but it looks like last time I checked, the Giants still had a 4-game lead in the division, and they made a trade for Chris Bryant. So I just wanted to give some love to the Giants. They're 7-3 in their last 10, still playing pretty well. Mariners too. Will Wyman showing the love. And then another baseball news: the Mets traded for Javi Baez. We got the Javi experience in his first game. He had a tag that he evaded. He had a slide where he evaded the tag at home for the game leading run, and then he put the insurance run over the fence. So it was a nice welcome to New York for him, El Mago. Right? Yeah, he's great. And then finally, just wanted to say, as y'all talking about the Olympic basketball, I'm excited to watch newly minted Nick, $78 million man, Evan Fournier, torch up the United States for the French. I still think the US is going to win just because Katie's unguardable, but Fournier's been balling this Olympics, so I'm looking for him to show out.
Does anyone know what? Hold on, I need to search up what time the game is at, because like they've been playing pretty late, and lately I've been sleeping early.
I think it's at like 10:30.
Let's see.
Also, how does Evan Fournier keep getting people to pay him so much?
40% shooter. He shoots 40% from three.
It's the FIBA experience.
I don't even know, but like this man is getting paid. Like so I don't even know.
Fournier and Nick Batum are like they're partners in crime. Like they've stolen so much money from NBA teams. It's crazy.
If you're 6'7" or 6'8" and can hit threes, they're gonna throw the bag at you. That's just how it goes in the NBA.
Chandler Parsons.
Okay, so apparently the gold medal game is tomorrow at 7:30. So let's go.
Oh yeah, 10:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7:30.
Yeah, 7:30.
Let's get so that's gonna. So I'll watch that. I'll watch that. It's pretty. It's like a Laker game basically. Like that's what time they'd always play at 7:30. So that's a pretty solid time. And I'm glad it's not late. Like they know like they'll know the ratings are gonna be through the roof and they can't make it super late. So yeah, I like that.
I guess just want to add for my final thought. Myles, you forgot to mention the injuries for Jacob deGrom and Francisco Lindor that might be holding that Mets team back. That's got me a little worried, but I've got another injury that I want to mention. Fernando Tatis Jr., superstar, face of baseball. Fernando, he might be out for the rest of the season. He dislocated his shoulder again. And I don't know, man, like that's just gonna suck. I personally, I think he should honestly just get the surgery and end his season, just because they have the Padres have a 14-year contract with him. You're probably not gonna be able to compete this year with just how good the division was. Also with the Dodgers becoming like a super team in baseball. I love Trey Turner, so and him going to the Dodgers kind of ruined him for me. But now it's just back to Tatis, just get the surgery and get ready for next year when the Dodgers load up, when the Padres can then make some more trades and become, be able to compete with this Dodgers team that likes to spend $60 million more than the next team. So yeah, that's my final thought.
All I'm gonna say is
where's Tatis in hits right now?
In hits,
yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Third?
I know he's got his OPS is over 1,000. So, but yeah, I don't really.
All I'm gonna say is that the Dodgers have more players in that they brought up in their farm system than the Padres do. The only reason is that we actually have good, talented people that know how to pick players, so they end up being good. And when you have good players, you have to pay them. So, and when you build up your farm system as great as the Dodgers have, you have the ability to make trades like for Max Scherzer and Trey Turner, and not cheap out and not get Max Scherzer when you're already in place to get him. So
they just had no room for Trey Turner. Their infield's already with the best in the MLB.
But they were only going to trade for Max Scherzer, but they cheaped out. So
but because if you get Trey Turner, what does he play?
Clearly, what I needed was more Padres excuses and more Padres tears that I was going to get eventually, anyways. So yeah, but it is what it is.
I'll go full Ryan for a minute. You guys are going to choke in the postseason. Your bullpen is going to blow it like usual. Clayton Kershaw's also a choker. I remember I was rewatching the 2019 Nationals run, and I got to see Clayton Kershaw giving up that 3-1 lead in the 8th inning. That was pretty satisfying. So yeah.
That was 2019. Won the World Series last year. Got that championship thing.
Mickey Mouse.
Now about to go back to back. And if you remember correctly, when the Dodgers win the World Series, Ryan has to go on a 10-minute monologue apologizing
Oh yeah, that would actually be really funny.
on Aggie Talk. So be prepared for that.
Let me know when that if the Dodgers do win, let me know when that episode is so I can just drop in.
He's gonna have so many sneak disses in that. Like he will give you the monologue. I can guarantee you that. But like he's gonna throw in like as much like little disses as he can. Like I guarantee you, he's gonna emphasize like Cody Bellinger's like OPS or something.
He's gonna pull basically what Skip Bayless did, because Skip Bayless had to say 10 nice things about LeBron after he won the championship, and it was basically all like backhanded compliments. That's basically what he'll say about the Dodgers.
Anyways, that was our final thoughts segment. I hope everyone who was watching enjoyed this episode, and you guys know like how we like to end it. Go Ags!
Go Ags!